These two targets look the same but are completely different on the inside.
This matters because durability is determined by the target's insides. The cost is affordable. The durability is actually shocking, but it's not in the way you think. I shot my bow until the target could not hold arrows anymore.
We had a complete pass-through.
Because one of these targets I will not be getting again. But what's really interesting is how these target reviews started in a very unexpected way.
So let's message Kaz to see if he can help me review these in the morning.
Hey Kaz, can you help me review this bag in the morning?
For sure.
Awesome, I'll see you at 7.
Today we're comparing two field point targets, the Yellow Jacket and the Hurricane. The difference between the bag targets and all these other targets is that the bag targets can't take broadheads. The upside generally to bag targets is that they last a really long time. I decided to combine these into the same video so that we can compare these since they're so similar. The Hurricane's just over 19 pounds. The Yellow Jacket's 14.5 pounds.
With the past 9 targets, it's been consistent that the denser, heavier targets always last longer.
That's interesting because the Yellow Jacket's a little wider at its thickest point, where the Hurricane is an inch thinner. When you feel the targets, you can clearly tell there's different types of material on the inside. This one seems like clumpy, more foam. This feels like layers or strands or t-shirts or something. That could change the performance for both of these quite a bit. So we're gonna take 500,
1,000, 5,000.
I don't know how many shots we're gonna take. We're gonna take as many shots until I can't take it anymore, or the targets can't take it anymore. And we'll see how these hold up.
Who's gonna win, Kramer or the target?
The pattern on the front of targets is commonly overlooked, but it matters a lot to me. And I like to have lots of different aiming locations. This feels a little busy to me, but you do have a lot of spots to aim if you can see them. And then on the other side of the Hurricane, we have a vitals of a deer. I believe this is supposed to resemble the heart, and this is supposed to be the lungs. And that's pretty much it for the Hurricane. If you come over here on the Yellow Jacket, the patterns are similar on both sides. This one is square, and you've got the B in the center holding the little target, whereas on the other side, you've got a diamond. And if you look at the sides, like from here, the middle is there and the middle's up here. So you'll see my right hand is higher than my left. I like that feature so that when you flip your target around, you're not gonna be hitting in the exact same spot, and that's probably why they did the diamond and the square, because if you put the diamond on this side, it's gonna be, in different spots. So that makes targets last longer. We're not gonna try to make this target last long today. We're gonna hit the same spot every single time. You can set these on the ground, but if you hang them, it's much better. So I built a little hanging system here. We're gonna shoot this with a compound bow that's at 60-pound draw and a traditional bow that's at a 50-pound draw. And we'll see how these bad boys hold up. The first thing we're gonna do is see how far the arrows go into the target. The second thing we're gonna do is see how much pulling power it takes to pull the arrows out. That will give us a good comparison to all the others that aren't bag targets, but it'd be cool to see how close they are. A loud impact.
Very loud.
Let's mark our penetration distance, and that might be the easiest target to pull arrows out of. Penetration on the compound arrow is 7 inches in. On the traditional, it's 5 inches in. That's the shallowest penetration we've had out of all the targets.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's use our contraption to...
I barely saw it. It was like 2.
That was nothing.
I don't know if you
that's so weird because all of the foam targets or the layer targets, we're pulling somewhere between 15 and 65 pounds is what it takes to pull an arrow out of the target. And this right here is like nothing. It literally, I don't even think I need to measure it. It's like 1 to 5 pounds. It's a non-factor. The one odd thing was how loud it is to slap through that bag. Now we are in a closed area shooting from within 10 yards on these first shots. So That's part of it. If you were outdoors, it'd be quieter. But compared to the other targets, I bet the decibels is 3 times the peak amount of a foam target. That's loud.
Like a gunshot.
I know, it's like a little 22 in here. Wow. Yeah, it appears that this one went, that was harder to pull out, 1/2 inch less. And let's see what this one did. That's definitely harder to pull out. And that one went more into the target. Let's measure it. So we have 8.5 inches with the compound, and we've got 4.5 with the trad. All right, let's see what we're pulling here on the Hurricane.
15.
15 pounds, still a non-factor.
You have fletching on your face.
I have fletching on my face. Compound arrow from the Hurricane. A little harder.
30.
30. Okay, that is not terrible as far as all the other targets go, but I will say it's more pleasurable to pull out from the Yellow Jacket than it is from the Hurricane. We'll do 100 with the Hurricane, then 100 with Morale, compare. 250 Hurricane, 250 Morale, compare. 500 and so on.
Definitely something to note.
Yep.
Some of the arrows are really easy to pull out. Others seem to get stuck.
Is it by the angle it goes in, or is it just random seeming?
Seems random.
If your field point is a larger diameter than your arrow shaft, it will get stuck, but none of ours are, I don't think. Yeah,
No.
So that's not what's going on.
Yeah, it's ranging from like 15 to 30 pounds.
This is the 100 shot update. From the side profile, you'll see it gets flat here, but it's bulging on the back. The Hurricane is doing the same thing. And the target face is beat up similar on both targets. So far, the biggest difference is pulling the arrows out. I'm gonna show you a side profile really quick. Stick with me, because this could be the biggest difference in these targets, unless the durability is significantly less on one or the other. So here's a 5-shot group, and this is how it is to pull the arrows out. It's pretty seamless on every single arrow. Now let's switch to the Hurricane. Same 5 arrows, same bows. All right, now to pull the Hurricane arrows out. It's interesting because some are consistent and some are a little harder. So not a major difference, but today I just shot 50 on the Hurricane, I shot 100 on the Stinger, and when it was time to go back to the Hurricane, I did not want to as much just because it takes a little effort, whereas with the Stinger, this problem's probably gonna seem bigger to me than you because I'm shooting so many arrows so quickly, trying to see how these targets will hold up. If I were shooting to improve, I'd be taking a lot more time on every shot and relaxing a whole lot more. And so in the normal scenario of practicing archery, it probably doesn't matter as much. I've been shooting for the last 2.5 hours and I've got some interesting news. So the Hurricane's at 250 shots. We had just a couple arrows poke through the back side, but not go all the way through. On the Yellow Jacket, we're at 198 shots. The front's looking good, but look at this. We poked through and it stuck into the plywood and is almost coming out the backside. So at this point we need to move the target, so I need to come up with a solution to pull the target out away from that wood so that the arrow can pass all the way through and we can see at what shot it does. This should work. All right, so new setup. This should do by using the ladder. It gives me enough room behind that the arrow could pass all the way through. I don't think the arrows are gonna go all the way through quite yet, but we'll see. Let's take a shot. Yeah, so there's another group and you'll see it bulging, but we've only had, that might have been the first one. That one arrow was the only ones that came through. It must have just hit the right spot. We'll keep taking shots and see what happens. We have completed 250 shots and these targets aren't holding as good as I thought they would, but they're still holding. The innards of these targets couldn't be further different from each other. On the Hurricane, we have a foam-like substance that has vinyl. It's kind of how it feels, foam layers. On the Yellow Jacket, we've got a fluff. that came out of the target with the arrows when I pulled them out. Completely different materials. Let's see which one holds up in the end. It's a close race so far. When I started these reviews, I seriously thought these could last 5, 10, 20,000, but now I'm not sure. This is the 250 shot on the yellow jacket. Not too bad in the front, but I did get 4 or 5 poking out on the back. And you will see we have pushed all the material to the left side. I've got the whole day set aside for this. So let's continue shooting arrows and hope my shoulder and back doesn't fall apart after so many shots today. I've run into a major problem. I'm chafing. But I know the solution because this has happened while running. This is the part of the video I'm supposed to leave out that I'm not. So,
Here's a quick break from shooting the bow to show you what's coming out of the inside of the targets. This fluff ball came from the Morel target. Now this material that keeps coming came from the Hurricane. It's still coming? What is going on? No way this all came out of the target. How could that even be possible? Well, as a matter of fact, it is, because these leather foam pieces just came out with the arrows. What else can I say?
So this is 500 shots on the yellow jacket. You can see it's got that black material in there. It's all uniform material. And then on the back side, we've had about 10 arrows or so poke out. You can see it's almost like a steel wool coming out. Now the Hurricane at 500 has taken more of a beating, and the backside's busted quite a bit more as well. The problem with the Hurricane is when you pull the arrows out, all of this material comes out, and you can see our massive pile that's come out of the target. What's interesting is that the material just keeps falling down, so there's like nothing up here, but it's allowing it to keep holding arrows in the middle. It appears that this is recycled material. It's some sort of leather with foam, and it appears to be random scraps from some production line, and that's kind of cool that they make targets from recycled material. I can't imagine this is by design, that they would cut the pieces like this and have random different types of leather, so it's got to be recycled. And for the Hurricane, that's all she wrote. We had a complete pass-through. Now we're gonna catch the yellow jacket up to the Hurricane and see if it can handle more arrows. It's like punching a hole, but none of the material's coming out. With the yellow jacket, we're 50 shots beyond where the Hurricane failed. I'm gonna shoot one with each bow and show you the penetration. So with the Hurricane, this is 551 shots. We have busted all the way through and have all of this excess that got pulled out of the target with the arrows. This is 602 shots with the yellow jacket, and we are barely poking out the backside, and it's holding up well. This is the material we pulled out the front. Both targets are $53 right now online, the exact same price. You could continue using the Hurricane by getting another bag and stuffing all the material in, and then you could just continue to use this scrap material on target over target over target, which is having to buy new bags. But you could probably do that as well with the yellow jacket, and the yellow jacket has a couple things going for it. It's lighter, it's easier to pull arrows out of, and it lasts longer. They can't shoot broadheads, but as far as a field point target goes, this right here is fantastic for cost per arrow. It's a very cheap online target, especially with shipping included, to only be $53. And if you aim at different locations, it's going to push that material that's on the inside around, making it last even longer. In the end, it's not my favorite two targets, but I definitely like the Yellow Jacket most between these two. And in the next video, I'll go over all 11 of these bad boys and let you know what targets are best for what type of people and what type of goals. So keep your eye open for that. Thanks so much for joining me today. Stay shatterproof, and I'll see you on the next video. Kaz, you almost got that tape measure?
Yeah, there you go.